Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2386. Well, today's September 11th, 9/11, and in the Porsche world, that has some significance. Today we're celebrating the Rennsport Reunion 7. It takes place September 28th through October 1st at Laguna Seca Raceway, celebrating 75th anniversary of Porsche and the 60th anniversary of the iconic Porsche 911. I'll be there, and I hope you will be too. And our guest today, well, he's from Porsche. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. You Porsche files know what happens in Atlanta, Georgia. There's an experience center there, and I'm with a very special guest by the name of Frank Wiesmann. Frank, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have any gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
I sure am, Mark. Clutch release, always fun. Love driving a manual transmission car, and happy to be here and talk to you.
And especially when it is a Porsche, of course. And we're going to be talking a lot about a spectacular event that's coming up here in a few weeks, Rennsport Reunion. I'm going to be there. Frank, my guest, is going to be there. There's going to be so many cool people there, including the guest from this week. But before I introduce you and we dive deep into what Rennsport's all about, what's one little thing that people don't know about you, Frank?
Well, some people know this, but I'm sure not everyone may know that I am originally German. So I came to the U.S. when I was very young. And you might not hear it by my accent, but I'm originally from Germany.
Really? Where were you born in Germany?
I was born in Bielefeld, which is a town in West Germany, or the western part of Germany, as it's now called. So that's where I'm from.
Very cool. Well, it kind of makes sense with where you're working now. It makes a world of sense. So let me give you an introduction. Frank Wiesmann is the manager of product communications at Porsche Cars North America. He was obsessed with cars from a very early age, uttering his first car-focused words before the names of his parents and identifying specific models from the comfort of his stroller at the age of 2. I'm guessing there was a wing on the back of that stroller. An avid collector of magazines, brochures, and model cars, he went on to become a test driver and editor for a European car magazine before transitioning to the Porsche Cars North America facility and organization in 2014 as the product spokesperson for the 911, the Boxster, and the Cayman. 6 years later, Frank assumed the managing role on the product communications team at Porsche North America. He will be at Rennsport along with me in a few weeks, where we are going to have a lot of fun with all things Porsche. We'll be back in just a moment, but first a word from our sponsors. Give them a little love, and we'll be right back. Buckle up. Years ago, when it was time to renew my collector car insurance policy, my carrier's rates went up. Way up, but my usage was the same and I never made a claim. I didn't even have a ticket. So what's with that? So I turned to American Collectors Insurance. Has your collector car insurance recently raised your rates for no good reason? Tired of paying an annual membership fee? Then it's time to look around and call American Collectors Insurance. I shopped around, I asked friends for recommendations, and found a winner that I can trust. And boy, I'm glad I did. I saved hundreds of dollars every year and slept better at night knowing my baby was properly insured. American Collectors Insurance have been protecting vehicles since 1976. They provided me with an agreed value insurance policy backed by their history of taking great care of their clients. What could be better than that? So give them a call and ask for a quote today. 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. And protect the ones you love like I did with American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. For several years now, you've heard me talk about Linkage Magazine. I've been a subscriber since the start. Their talented and creative team brings you a spectacular publication and website that shares the automotive passion from a worldwide perspective. Linkage is about driving, restoring, collecting, and first-hand experience at collector car auctions and more. They bring you real-world values plus rational, experienced opinions on the current markets. They cover the automotive world and the people who share our passions. And Linkage Magazine has grown, mailing you 6 issues annually. Join me on this journey with Linkage. They're geared for the automotive life. You can subscribe at linkagemag.com. So, Frank, we are back. So what's coming up, I cannot wait. I am so excited. I was just down at Laguna Seca for the Rolex Motorsports reunion. Saw a lot of cool cars there, a lot of Porsches. But going back for Rennsport 7, and I was at Rennsport 6 at Laguna Seca, I just cannot wait. I'm taking my son with me. Let me ask you this. What does Rennsport reunion mean to you? And more importantly, perhaps, what does it mean to Porsche?
So Rennsport Reunion means to me the preservation, celebration, and display of our very rich motorsports history. So Porsche, it's our 75th anniversary this year as a sports car maker, is obviously completely intertwined and defined not just by design, by the performance of the cars, but by the racing pedigree. We race to develop technology for the road and also vice versa. And that's really shaped how the cars have been built, the passion, the focus that the engineers have that design them, that the drivers have that drive them, the spirit of winning, of being competitive. And I think all of that really comes alive at Rennsport in a manner that's tangible for fans and for people that maybe aren't even as familiar with racing. It's really up close. There's very little, if no barriers, to just get up and talk to a driver or see a car, witness the action on track. And it's just such a unique event. There's nothing else like it. And I think that's also true very much for Porsche. It's a place where we gather to experience this with our fans, with our customers, with collectors, with sponsors, and also to bring in new people. This isn't just for people that are very affiliated with the racing world or with Porsche. We want people that have never been in an event like this before to come, to feel welcome, to feel invited, and join us. That combination of an event like this that is on the one hand very focused on the cars, on racing, on the drivers, the engineers that made it all possible in the last 75 years, but also to have it be a family event and an event that people of all ages can feel welcome at and excited to come to. That's really unique. And we're very proud of this tradition that's been going on for over 20 years now and was created here in America by our head of PR at the time, Mr. Bob Carlson and Brian Redmond. They had this idea, and it's an honor to continue to preserve it, to carry it out along with the great people from around the world in the Porsche organization and outside of it that put this all together. And without we couldn't do it.
So the theme is icons of Porsche. When I say those words, what does that mean to you?
For me, it means, and there's a lot of them, as our rich history shows, it's these standout people, these standout cars, these standout moments, many of which will also be created at this Rennsport for posterity, that define Porsche. The winning cars, the winning drivers, the winning engineers, but also a look to the future on what could be the next icon. That all comes together at Rennsport. So I think that is really why we chose this theme, particularly looking at this year being our 75th anniversary, but also the 60th anniversary of the 911. We felt it was a very fitting theme and also tribute to the people that we're celebrating and the cars that we're celebrating.
It's hard to believe 60 years because when I was a little boy, 60 years ago, my dad took me down to Alan Johnson Porsche. Now, Alan Johnson's been a guest on the show. He raced cars, and we got to take a test drive in the first 911. And my dad was a car guy, and I remember sitting in the back of that thing. I can still kind of feel it today, and maybe it's more of the idea of the memory, because trying to remember back to when I was that young is getting harder and harder. But what a wonderful legacy that this has brought to so many people's lives, mine in particular, because I love the Porsche 911. And a couple of the icons that are grand marshals this year of the event, race car driver Patrick Long, and of course, Alwyn Springer. Now, some people maybe aren't as deep into Porsche, may not know a lot about Alwyn. Can you talk about him a little bit?
Yeah, so Alwyn Springer, a true icon in the Porsche motorsport world, decades of experience on the racing side, on the engineering side, the team management side, and he was actually the first CEO of Porsche Motorsport North America when that operation was officially founded here in the U.S. So he's also, like me, a German transplant. He's been in the U.S. for a lot longer even than I have, and we're very excited to have him there as a Grand Marshal. He told us that, for so many years at the track, he was just focused on the races. He was focused on winning. He was focused on supporting the team and making sure that the cars ran as well as they possibly could, because that's what it was about. That was his job. That was his focus. And now, as the Grand Marshal, he will still have a very busy schedule, but he's very excited to just go and enjoy the event, meet with people, and celebrate icons of Porsche with us. So it'll be a very busy event for him, but also a little bit different than in his many days and years of racing. Very symbolic of the kind of spirit, the kind of resolve that goes on in the world of Porsche Motorsport and the passion that people bring to the track every day.
Absolutely. And of course, Patrick Long, Porsche factory driver for a long, long time. Patrick will join me tomorrow and share what he's been up to and what he's going to be doing at Rennsport. So we look forward to having him back here on Cars. Yeah. And we mentioned this earlier, you guys are going to have over 50 legend drivers and engineers at the event, and you're also going to have a world premiere. Now, I know we can't share the details. I tried to pry it out of Jeff Zwart, who's coming up this week. Can you give us just maybe a little hint? Is it will be a new car that's going to be announced, or what are we thinking we're going to see here?
There will be a new car. We cannot say anything more than there will be a global premiere.
Okay.
So I'm glad that Jeff's swear to secrecy that he gave me is holding up.
Yep.
It will be a wonderful surprise, but yeah, you'll have to wait and see until the event kicks off when the announcement is made at some point in time after that. But we're very excited.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited too. Secrets and new reveals are always fun. So that's something that all of us going to be there are going to see. And no doubt it'll be all over the internet once it's out there. Now, the other thing is you're going to have the U.S. debut of two concept cars. You've released some information on these, the Mission X and the Vision 357 Speedster, plus the new 911 ST. Can you talk a little bit about these cars?
Sure. Yeah. So the Mission X was our celebration car on the official anniversary date of Porsche as a sports car maker. And that date revolves around the first 356 receiving its road registration to be driven in Germany. And that is the symbolic date for the company's anniversary. And on that date, a couple months ago, we showed for the first time the Mission X concept car. It's a design study that focuses on what a potential all-electric hypercar of the future could look like. So there's not very many details on technology yet, besides the fact that it's an all-electric car, but it shows what the designers could envision a car like that looking like in a couple of years. And the ambition with that car, if it were to go into production, that decision has not been made yet, would be that it would be the fastest production car at the Nürburgring, which is obviously a big benchmark for us in terms of gauging track performance and that track pedigree that we try to instill in all of our road cars, particularly those high-end sports cars like a 911 GT3 RS. And this car would be the next level if we did decide to make it. So we're excited to see the feedback. We've been taking the car around the world to Le Mans, obviously to the celebration at the June 8th anniversary in Stuttgart. So we're very excited to have it here in the US for the first time. It's never been in America before, and see the reaction, see what people think of it, and see if we get some more feedback that says, hey, you guys should build this, and then we'll think about it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You know, a lot of these cars are in the light of what Porsche has done before. The 959, the 918, the Carrera GT. These are cars that came out as concept cars and ended up on the roads and to become iconic collectible type cars. So the Mission X, I think, is, my guess is it's in line for that kind of thing. And there's also the Vision 357 Speedster.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Another anniversary car inspired by the first Porsche road car, the 356, in terms of design. And it's a very interesting concept because earlier in the year, we introduced the coupe version of that car, which is based on the powertrain of the GT4 RS. This car, though, the Speedster, so the open-top version, is based on the GT4 e-Performance, which is the all-electric 718 Cayman-based kind of test car that's been used for demonstration purposes in racing and showcases what a potential all-electric one-make race car, like picture an electric Carrera Cup race car, could potentially look like or how it could run. So the Vision 357 is a combination of that electric technology and a really classically inspired design taken to the modern age. So again, a very exciting car that also has never been to the US before. And we're really excited to display it, to show it off, and for people to see it.
I can't wait. And lastly, the car I mentioned, the 911 ST, which of course beckons back to the 1970-71 lightweight ST race car. I mean, Porsche has this legend that they can just keep bringing these ideas back, but into the future. And I love that concept. So the 911 ST is very much like that, right?
Mm-hmm. And the essence of that car is really to celebrate 60 years of 911 and to celebrate the core attributes of what the 911 is, what defines it, which is the driving experience, just being very engaging, very thrilling to drive on a normal road, and also lightweight components, having the car be as light as legally possible. And it's the lightest current generation 911, which is the 992 generation that some people probably know, that internal designation, but the lightest one of the range at just over 3,000 pounds. Manual transmission, a 6-speed manual, is the only transmission available for the car. And it's got carbon fiber, it's got magnesium wheels, ceramic brakes as standard, and the engine from the 911 GT3 RS. So a naturally aspirated 4-liter making over 500 horsepower that revs to 9,000 RPM, paired with a manual in a 3,000-pound 911. So you can imagine what that car drives like. I have not driven it yet. Hopefully, maybe I'll get to someday. But very excited again to show this car. We just announced it recently. It has not been to America yet. We felt Rennsport was the perfect place, given the spirit of the event, the passion of the people that are coming, to show it for the first time. Another very, very big reason to come and check out the event at Laguna Seca in, just looking at the website here, 26 days, 14 hours, 58 minutes, and 6 seconds.
I know the website's great. I'll put a link to the website, but it's easy to find for you listeners. If you want to go, you can buy your tickets in advance. I encourage you to do that. It's Porsche Rennsport Reunion.com. Now, the other thing that is superb about having this event at Laguna Seca Raceway is you're going to have over 300 race entries in different types of race groups. So while you're walking around the grounds looking at all these new cars, old cars, I mean, the parking lot alone is going to be a car show with all the people showing up with their Porsches. There's going to be racing. So can you talk about some of the different racing classes? I mean, we've got Porsche Carrera Cup North America for the first time at Rennsport. You've got classic vintage race cars, PCA club racing. Oh my, tell us what we're going to see.
Yeah, so as you said, Mark, a vast array of different types of race cars. I think Porsche Carrera Cup North America is a great place to start because that is a first for Rennsport. We've not had that series in parallel with Rennsport before. And that's our one-make series for people that perhaps aren't as familiar with it. So people can buy what we call a GT3 Cup car through Porsche Motorsport North America, which is a racing version of the 911 GT3. Shares the engine with the road car, actually. So a lot of people talk about a race car for the road, and it doesn't necessarily have as much to do with it, but here it really does. It's basically the same 4-liter, 500-plus horsepower engine that's in our road car is also race. And these are around 40 one-make cars that are all basically technically the same, run by different teams. So it's a very, very competitive series. The car is extremely capable, and it's part of our motorsport pyramid where people can start off with, for example, club racing or a GT4 RS Club Sport, perhaps advance to Carrera Cup, and then perhaps advance to the next level, which is the GTD rank of racing with cars like the 911 GT3R. And you can buy those cars from Porsche Motorsport. They're in very high demand, so it's not necessarily as easy to get one, but we do have a lot of customers that like to go racing, and Carrera Cup is a particularly competitive series that we're very excited to have at Rennsport, truly fitting to showcase the competitive nature and spirit of racing with Porsche in the modern age. But also, obviously, throughout the weekend, for most of the time on track, you will see vintage Porsche race cars going at it. And that's everything from 356s all the way up to 962s and cars that, were competing in international series like Le Mans and also in North America at their time. So really, throughout Porsche's 75-year history, are a representation of key race cars that define Porsche's racing history throughout the years. So look forward to that. on all 4 days. Very competitive racing as well. And there really isn't a dull moment on the track. There will not be much downtime or quiet time during the actual event hours, that's for sure.
Oh, I've looked at the calendar. It's a very full calendar starting at 7 in the mornings. And in some cases, going into the night, you're going to have a couple of cool things. You're going to have a movie night with the Transformers Rise of the Beast, which of course has the Porsche in it. And also, like last time, there's going to be some live music performers on the stage. Now, it's another thing Jeff wouldn't reveal is who are we going to see on the stage, but I'm guessing it's going to be some pretty cool entertainers, right?
For sure. Another surprise, but yeah, all exciting reasons to stick around the track after the racing action has stopped. The action at the track does not stop. And again, a really great example of how the event is made for everybody, even off the track. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to be excited about, and a great reason to bring your friends, bring your family, immerse them in the spirit of the event, and have a good time.
It's going to be so cool. Also, I know you mentioned this being very family friendly, and that's what going to so many historic races I've been to, and also, what Patrick has put together with Jeff and their other colleague there, Lufticult, where it's very family friendly. And I know this time you're going to have a reunion of Sally Carrera and Lightning McQueen. I can't tell you how much I wish I could take my 2-year-old grandson. He's already into that movie so deep. I'm going to have to FaceTime with him. He's living in Arizona and I can't peel him away from his mother, but I'm going to get him to the next Rennsport reunion. So that'll be really fun. The other thing you're going to have is autograph sessions with a lot of these famous people, which is pretty cool. But what I want to do now is I want to talk a little bit more about you and this passion you have for Porsches, because we've talked so much about what's going to happen here. I hope as many of you listeners out there that are listening today can join us, because I am so looking forward to this. If we go back to your life around cars, has there been one special vehicle in your life that really stands out?
Ooh, that's a great question. But I have a Porsche story.
I would hope so.
A family friend that had a G-body 911 in the early 80s. And it's one of my first recollections of being around a car that stood out to me. And it's funny because I have, based on that, you mentioned earlier that I like collecting brochures. Well, there's photographs of me leafing through a brochure of that type of car when I was 2.
Oh my gosh.
And it's funny looking back on that now, 40 years later, is that I would have never thought that I would end up at a company like Porsche with such amazing cars and people to work with, and really being able to live out my passion as a car enthusiast. But it started very early on, and I think that's such a standout mark of the 911 or Porsche in general, is that even people that don't necessarily own a car, they have a story. A lot of them have a story of how they first took notice of Porsche, or took notice of a 911, or rode in one, or drove one. And I think that is really those experiences are really what binds people to the brand, what brings people together, and what makes the experience with the cars so memorable and with the brand so memorable, is that it means something to people. It's more than transportation. It's even more than enjoying driving. It's a real philosophy of, what do I care about in life, and what's important to me, and what memories do I associate with these moments? And it's fascinating and really exciting that a lot of people seem to have a moment like that, where it just clicks and you're like, wow, yeah, I really want to have that car. I really want to work for that brand. I really want to engage in driving or do something around this type of work, or meet people that are like-minded. And I think that's part of what's really driven Porsche on throughout the years.
And look where you've ended up. When I was a kid, we lived in a little cul-de-sac, and there was a bachelor up at the end of the street. Most of the houses had families in them, but there was this young cool guy, and he was driving a 356 Speedster Carrera. And he would drive up the street, and I'd always run to the window to look at when he drove by. All of his kids would go up and hang around. He'd let us sit in the car. And I got to think that's one of the first things that got me going, along with my dad's 49 MGTC when I was, I think, 4 or 5 years old. He had that car. I'm going to be a bit of a car psychologist today. This is a nice little game I play with people. If you were reincarnated, this isn't what you want to be, though. This is how you perceive yourself, the man in the mirror, as a vehicle. What would you be, but more importantly, why?
I think I'd probably be a 911 GT2 RS.
Oh, nice. Okay. And why is that?
Because of the capability of the car combined with the usability. So, offering a high degree of practicality, but also standout performance. And I don't know if I always live up to that, but that's certainly what I strive toward. And that car really speaks to me in how it combines those capabilities. I think there's other cars out there that are very fast. There's other cars out there that are practical, but there's very few cars, arguably no other car combines those attributes like that one car. So that really always impressed me. That's something I strive towards as a person. So that's why I would go with that car.
Well, for you listeners, if you go to the Cars Yeah website and look at Frank Wiesmann's show notes page, you will see him at the wheel of a beautiful 911 GT2 RS. Looks like a dark green color. Is that right?
British Racing Green.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. That particular car is part of the Porsche Museum's fleet now. It set quite a few records actually here in the U.S. And thus the choice was made to keep it around. And that's another piece of history that I had the distinct pleasure and honor of briefly driving for some photos. So a nice moment in time.
So I want to just be the guy that carries your briefcase to work every day so I can just be around the environment that you're in. Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
It sounds like fun. So we talk about books a lot here at Cars Yeah, either car books or self-help books or business books. Is there a book that you've read that you'd like to share with others?
Ooh. There's a non-Porsche book that I was introduced to by my boss that is very fascinating. It's about the McLaren F1, and it's called Driving Ambition.
Yep.
And it's the official story of the car, but really taken from the beginning of the ideation all the way through to development and production. So they actually had someone on the inside with the engineers, with the design team, with the company, tracing the steps of that car as it got developed, and the insights into how that happened and the detail is super impressive.
Yeah, I got to talk with Gordon Murray when he was at the Quail. He was also on the lawn at Pebble Beach a few weeks ago, and he was releasing his new vehicle that he's done. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget, I had my son with me at the car week in the Concours, and we were in front of the lodge at Pebble Beach, and it was a few days before the actual Concours, and this guy drives up in a McLaren F1. It's silver, has Colorado plates, and the entire front of the car is covered in bugs. And he crawls out of that car, and my son I think he was in junior high, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, Dad, that's a McLaren F1." And we go over to it, and he starts talking to us, and he asks my son if he wants to sit in that beautiful center seat, and he crawls in, and I'm standing outside the car, and I go, "Tell me you really did drive this from Colorado." And he goes, "Of course I did." And I think I got down on my knees like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Now, this is before they became even more collectible at the stratospheric rates they are now. But can you imagine? Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. I love seeing that. I love seeing people enjoy their cars and experiencing joy behind the wheel, whether it be going to an event or just, driving for the fun of it. That's keeping that passion alive is very near and dear to my heart as well. And I love seeing that.
Well, Porsches are meant to be driven, not tucked away in the garage. So that is a good correlation, but that's a great book. So let's go on the ultimate drive. Now, this is interesting because you're around Porsche. I mean, that GT2 RS, the cars you've been able to drive. But today, I'm going to provide you with any car, park it in your driveway. You can take it on to drive anywhere, but here's the fun part. You can take anybody with you, including somebody from the past who's no longer with us, which opens up a wonderful world of co-pilots, or if you want this person to drive and you sit in the right seat or left, depending on where the car's from. So what does the ultimate drive look like for a guy that works at Porsche and has driven some ultimate vehicles?
I think there's a great many roads and tracks that I have enjoyed driving and I would enjoy driving, but I would love to take a GT2 RS or GT3 RS on the Nürburgring and get a coaching session from one of our factory drivers, perhaps from Lars Kern, who has done a lot of our Nürburgring lap records, or Jörg Bergmeister, who's also done that and has been a factory racer for a long time at Porsche. But just getting their insights and their feedback on improving my skills and managing a car like that at what I consider to be the coolest track on earth, the ultimate experience for me.
Oh my, yeah, that would be pretty darn fun. That sounds like a blast to me. Wow. Well, you have taken us on a wonderful drive today, and I can't thank you enough for taking time out of what is a very busy schedule. We're a few weeks out now from September 28th, the launch of this year's Rennsport Reunion, number 7 at Laguna Seca Raceway. It takes place over 4 days, so whether you can only make one or two, or you know what, if you're going to go, do all 4 days, because every day is going to be different. Could you leave us with some parting words of inspiration or wisdom before I let you go?
Sure. Please come join us at Rennsport. Every person matters. Every person counts. We all make up the event together. So if you're passionate about Porsche, if you're passionate about cars, it's the ultimate gathering of that nature. And we'd love to see everyone there. As Mark said, tickets are still available on PorscheRennsportReunion.com. There's a link there that takes you to the site. And yeah, if you can make it only one day, great. If you want to come for all 4, even better. But bring your Porsche passion and celebrate a great time with us as we continue to celebrate our 75th anniversary this year.
It's going to be so much fun. Go to PorscheRennsportReunion.com. I'll put links on Frank's show notes page on the Cars Yeah website. A quick shout out to our mutual friend Barry Topke at Laguna Seca Raceway for getting Frank on the show today. Barry's brought me so many great guests. He's been a guest several times. I just saw him at the Rolex Motorsports Reunion, and I get to see him again when we're all there at the Rennsport Reunion, September 28th to October 1st. Frank, thanks for taking time, a little pit stop with me out of your very busy schedule right now. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you at the Rennsport Reunion 7.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
This has been fun. Being a professional automotive technician today requires an understanding of technology, computers, and electrical systems that are highly advanced and very complex. Cars Yeah is pleased to support TechForce Foundation. It's one of our charities of choice, and its efforts to help young people pursue the technical education and careers as automotive techs. Through scholarships, grants, and good old-fashioned hands-on experience with cars, trucks, boats, and more, TechForce and Cars Yeah are working to connect young people with viable careers in the automotive sector. Join us by visiting techforce.org today.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.